Hi. It's so weird. I feel like it's been a while, but it's not been that long. My name is Dr. Cheryl Meyer, and right now I am a psychologist, but I'm in a class and I'm learning what it is to be a holistic professional. And I don't even know all of the definition of that right now, but I know that you look at your body, your mind, your soul, and your psyche, and it's like a combination of all of that. And so you guys know, if you've been following me, that's what I do anyway. And that's what energizes me. And so I didn't even understand what it is to integrate that really into my profession. And so I thought I just could integrate that as a psychologist. And I do with my clients that come in, but mostly they're looking for a psychologist, but sometimes they're looking for specific, like I talk about Christ a lot. So with that, or spiritual psychologist, or, I try to be open-minded where they are. But today I'm going to teach you guys about what I'm learning. It's always about what I'm learning in my own life. And today is more presence, and what the benefits are of learning how to be present in your own life. I have just seen so much growth in my inner life and in my confidence and just being my own person, my authentic self. And so let's talk for a little bit about that. The other day I was in this business class, holistic business class, and they were emphasizing more what I always talk about, but it was great to hear it from another person and from another perspective, is your, I was just thinking I would love to have, I don't know. I always made fun of selfie sticks, but now I'm like, wait, if I just had a stick, I can just bring a travel one. I think I have one at home that came in a kit so that I can have both my hands to show you stuff. Anyway, is I wanted to tell you guys about, authentic self versus conditioned self, because it's really, really helps to get this succinct and understand this right away so that you can start identifying when you're in your conditioned self and when you're in your authentic self. And so I tweeted about this the other day, and then I made an Instagram post of it. Hopefully I just keep my Instagram page and just keep all that stuff up so people can go back if you see these videos and reference those. I don't even know my Instagram handle. It's something with Dr. Cheryl Meyer, Meier. You've probably seen it here on my Facebook page. I mean, on my YouTube page. Sorry, I'm thinking about a Facebook group that I'm going to start. And I'm going to offer classes, transformative classes. You can sign up online, blah, blah, blah. But subscribe here or share these videos anytime you see them and you feel like it resonates and you want to share it with someone else, because I appreciate that. That will help grow my business, and then people will hear about my Facebook page and the classes that I'm going to offer, or I plan to. I always say plan to, but this is just the direction my soul is calling it. And so let's look for a second about authentic self versus conditioned self. Your authentic self is expansive and in presence and present and joyous, and it's like radiating love and sees no limits to what it can do in this world and how things can. It's kind of like my dreamy self is how I see it, but it's not just dreamy. It's not just dreams, because it's important, I think, to bring those dreams into reality. Let's think, what else? When I'm in my expansive self, I feel just like connected with everything, and it's not always like feeling this 100%. Sometimes you shift into it for a moment and then you shift back out, or you shift and you stay there for a while. And I often, you guys know, I don't know if you know, but I meditate every day. Yesterday I didn't meditate, but it was a really full day, and I did some meditative practices, and I was still in a place of contemplation during the day, but I didn't do my actual practice yesterday. And anyway, but what I usually do every day, 6 days a week, 7 days a week, an hour meditation every day where I just get quiet. And I have a spiritual director that's been working with me the last 4+ years, I think. And she just gives me things, she assigns me things that I'll have for the next 2 weeks, where I just sit with one small thing that doesn't take up, it's not a bunch of head stuff. It just gets me in a quiet place where I'm present and I'm learning how to observe. And just the practice of doing that every day, you don't realize what a discipline that is, and what that adds to your life. Like, if I practice guitar every day for an hour, like, I would be much better at guitar. I know I would. If I was in a relationship and sat 1 hour a day with that person, wow, that relationship, just 1 hour. Like, some people say parents give their kids like 7 minutes of eye contact a day or something. I can't remember don't quote me on the number, but I just remember it was really, really small amount. But it's like, if that would be a really intense relationship if I did an hour a day. But that's what I do with for me, I meet in some capacity with Christ, but that might sound weird to you, and it doesn't matter. Like, I welcome whatever religion you are here. But that's so weird. No wonder my relationship has grown. And not just that, it's a relationship with myself where I'm willing to be quiet with myself. But what I was going to say is, doing that once a day, I don't have the intention of, oh, this is going to make me some spiritual warrior and like fantastic person, blah, blah, blah. I just do it because I'm committed to do it, and my soul sort of brought me on that path. But what it does is it helps acclimate me and get me more used to being in my soul self and my expanded self. And I go on these mystic travels, transformative travel thing. And that's kind of an intensified place where you're really inundated in all of this stuff, and you get to just be in your whole mystical side and be present with the meditations or the teachings or the places that I'm going to. And that's so great. But okay, so your conditioned self is one that it's what you grew up with. You have these, it's like fear-based or anxiety-based, and limitations, and I can't do this, and it's contracted, and it doesn't feel open, and it's only sort of getting one side of your being, and it's not tapping into all these different facets of your body and your breath and your presence and your soul and your your calling. And it's just like I don't even like talking about the conditioned self, but it's important for us to identify. It's the part of us that just does automatic behavior. Oh, this is what I've always known. I was just listening in the class this morning, just now. It just finished. I was waiting for it to finish so I could do this teaching video. And a woman came on, and she was talking about how she was a therapist, like I am. I'm a psychologist, so I have my doctorate in this, and I've been doing it for a number of years. But she said she was only touching on the psychological aspect of people's lives. And, there was this deeper soul calling. Oh no, this other woman, okay, there were 2 women, but one was a teacher, and she had this great job, and she got to create her own classes, and to a degree, probably a subject matter that she had to stay within. And she had insurance, and she had a really like, whatever, like a 6-figure income, whatever, blah, 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 but she just felt like it was limiting, and it wasn't touching like these 5 different aspects of her life, like her soul and her, getting into your physical body, and what I was just talking about, being her expansive self and teaching other people how to be that. It was only like mind, and just like I went to graduate school and college for forever, and my dissertation and all this mind stuff. And so it's like, she felt like her soul was calling her to something else. And it's weird to identify it as that, but your soul can be calling you, whether you're a man or a woman or whatever, is your soul can be calling you to something higher and deeper, and it does not make sense to your conditioned self to let go of this known thing, this, oh, I'm in a comfortable, relationship with my work or whatever, wherever you are. Or even I was thinking with your spiritual walk, oh no, this is predictable, this is known, this is how everybody does it, and this is what this religion looks like. And I'm not saying don't honor, like there are time-honored traditions that have stood the test of time that are classic for a reason. Like I love rereading George MacDonald's books because he's so deep spiritually and he gives me insight. And there are saints, like the mystic saints, like Teresa of Avila and Saint John of the Cross and Saint Ignatius of Loyola, and there's an Ignatius a long time before that, like in the 300s, I think, that have, what they learned by walking in spiritual practice has stood the test of time. And so there's deep teachings that are conveyed through them that are it's not just I'm going to make my own path and follow my soul's calling, and there's nothing that I can get from the wisdom from before. It's not like that, but it's more like the difference, like what I'm describing of the woman who has this cush job that, seems creative, and she kept trying to expand her creativity within the confines of that job when she just had to jump out. And I put this on Twitter last week too. I was sending it to a couple of my friends after I saw it in the class, and I was going to bring my notebook, but I forgot. Let's see if I can draw it in the ground again. Hold on. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so there's this, your conditioned self, let's say, is in this circle, okay? Let's see, hopefully you're seeing this. Okay, and right here is the new horizon, like this square up here. And so a lot of times I see this with my clients. You go to the edge of your conditioned self of how your parents said you could be. This is as far as you can go. And then there's this tension. And then there's this no man's area. And this is what I talk about with ego death, where you cross from here to this expanded new place, expansive new horizon. And this is the scary zone, is to jump out from here to here. It just feels so, you guys know, like my ego death on Patmos video, I was crying and I was facing a lot of stuff I didn't want to face. I told one of my friends, like, you heard me more than anyone else in my whole life, like, because it's a challenge. It's a challenge, like whether people know this in your life or not. Like if I said that to my brother, my brother and I have this relationship we've had our whole lives. He was born before me, my older brother. I have a younger brother too, but it's great with my brother because I know I can just, like always, I was thinking that, do your best to be respectful towards other people, because we can go into our conditioned self, and our conditioned self is reactive and goes into our pain body. Like Eckhart Tolle talks about your pain body, and it can, like if you draw the pie chart again, there's one piece, and this person is triggering this well, they're triggering from this one piece, but what it does is it triggers the whole rest of the pie of every time you ever felt challenged like that, or rejected, or left out, or what, I thought I could trust you and I can't again, or whatever. And it's like when this one person does, like I've talked about that many times in my videos. I used to give the example of, if I'm I was going to say my husband before, is if I'm like, hey, you said you're going to take out the trash, and he doesn't take out the trash. It's like, you always wanted trash in my life. You never, like, I don't know, like if I got all reactive about that, it's like, because it reminds me of my childhood where I had to be the parent in a lot of ways. It felt like I did, where I had to be like, this is where all this psychological baggage is just strewn out all across the floor. And you guys, to my parents, you guys aren't taking responsibility for bringing health and consciousness into our family. And so it's like, I felt like this overburden as a child to always be pointing it out and trying to take out the trash, and, or just, that's so funny because I just got the image of, in Star Wars, the first Star Wars, where they had to go through the garbage chute to get out. It's like, we're in the garbage chute to R2, get us out, like stop the compactor. Kind of felt like that, and so if someone doesn't take out the trash, that's just like, that's their prerogative to do it or not. Like, I can set boundaries if I have a roommate or whatever and be like, hey, we agreed to this, let's figure out what our boundaries are, because I don't want this to continue. If I'm in my expansive self, I can talk about that easily, and I'm peaceful and I'm joyous and it's not a big deal, but I can still set a boundary. When I'm in my conditioned self, it has triggered all this old pain body of all of the people that dumped their BS belief systems and whatever else all over my life, and I feel overwhelmed as a child. Another part of the conditioned self is you feel overwhelmed because you're not in your soul self. You're expansive, you're higher, connected to all that is, to God, to source. You're not in presence. You're not connected to the present moment. You're not grounded. You're not being the observer. The observer is the one that sees all the thoughts, sees all the emotions, and doesn't identify with the stories. And it's like, oh, wait, if I'm in my expansive self, I can be like, oh, my brother chose to do this. That wasn't rejecting me. That was his following his own path, that and whatever level of consciousness that he had in that moment. He's totally allowed to do that. And I'm allowed to talk to him about how that impacted me. If a person's open to communication. I was talking to someone yesterday, and they chose to close communication, and it's like, it was great because I made that same choice. It was I can go into that some other time, but and who knows, like maybe the door of communication will open again, but whatever, I'm not gonna, your expansive self is really in the present. So it's not looking at outcomes or trying to make an outcome happen or even looking into the future, This person asked me, what do you see in the future? I'm like, I haven't gone that far. I haven't looked that far, But okay, so back to how, what I was talking about with my brother is I have an established relationship with him where I'm saying, okay, in the moment, try to be as respectful as you can towards the other person, because I know you're triggered and we're in our pain body and we have this sense to react and to it's weird because when you get triggered, it feels like this person caused all of these, crap things that happened in your childhood that really impacted you, that hurt you. You get back into that feeling state. And so it does feel like that person caused all that other stuff, but they didn't. That's just your own baggage that you've been carrying around that you haven't been conscious about, that you haven't worked out yet or released or brought healing to. And this is what I wanted to tell you is like, I am experiencing the most beautiful experiences by learning just how to be more present. And people could talk about the word presence or mindfulness or whatever till they turned blue in the face to me, and it wasn't resonating before. It wasn't, I don't want the sun. I love the sun, but I don't want it in my face when I'm doing my video right now, because then I squint and stuff. And so what I was saying is learning how to embody your body and sit down in your body. This is like a feminine thing, I think, if we're going to define it. But be connected to your body and learn how to go in quiet more, in stillness, and not quiet. At first, your mind might be racing and stuff, but learn to sit back and observe the thoughts. And I teach about this in a lot of my videos because I was walking, my soul was already calling me to a deeper stillness. But what that does is, it's so great. I saw this other video the other day, and this woman was talking about, oh, you think you have a choice. in life. Oh, why don't you just do this? Why doesn't this person do that? Or why don't you just do this or this or this? Why don't I choose to leave the business I know to go to that new horizon, And it's like, if she's like, if you don't have presence built up within you, this stillness, this knowing who the real you is, your soul self, then there's not enough substance there. There's not a lot of substance there, like gravity or depth in you that can make that choice. You always, I mean, I'm never like, what? Someone says there's a wall, I'm breaking through that wall. Like, I'm always like, no does not mean no to me, if you guys know this. And I mean, it gets me in trouble sometimes because because I learned it in an unhealthy way as well, where my parents' no didn't mean no, because they didn't have enough presence within them to stand behind their no. And so sometimes when people say no, like when the consulate said, no, you can't come to Greece, I didn't hear that as a no. So then it works in my benefit, because I tried 4 times with that person, and then I looked for other options. And then my friends, you guys, another thing I was thinking this morning is a community of friends, talking with friends, connecting, not staying isolated, but connecting with friends that are really like expanding in their own lives as well. Not conditioned friends, because conditioned friends will try to keep you back in that conditioned self, and they never want you to go in that no man's land, because it's scary for them to watch someone face ego death, because they're afraid of their own ego death, and they don't want to see that around you, so they keep pulling you back. But when I keep running into like your tribe or whatever, these people that are like, no, like, I'm going to be expansive, they're really encouraging me, and they are such a support. So one of my friends was like, why don't you call the other consulates, or a more conservative state, or a different state that doesn't have as much load, like there's a lot more people in Los Angeles than in another state. And so that's how it worked. And so in that way, I'll tie this together. I plan to. It's like, I hope the best is and I follow these different threads of thought usually, is I learned that no doesn't mean no, and so it works for me and stuff like that. But in relationships where someone's like, I said no, why aren't you respecting my boundary? And it's like, because I don't feel a no. Like, it doesn't feel like a no ought to be there. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, wait, learning how to go, respecting their no really helps you get in a more conscious place with this person. Like, if my brother said something like, no, I can't help you out with that one thing, I'm doing 6 other projects right now, and I don't have that space on my plate, then it's like, with him, because we have this great communication between us, I know that he's not rejecting me. I know not to take it personal. I love that he has stuff going on in his life, and I'm just like, oh, right, awesome, like, keep me in the back of your mind, or another person will show up in this capacity, or I was meant to meet up with another person for this project, or whatever it is. And so I trust that that's just going to happen, and then it does, But if there's someone else or other people, and they trigger your old childhood wounds, and they take you back into your pain body, they just trigger that, because it's this great opportunity. It's like this hurt that I experienced when I was at Patmos, it coincided with this healing, transformative thing that I was having going on. Of course it did. And so it's kind of like, some people call it like a tower moment. It's like when when everything comes crashing down in a certain capacity, because you were not living according to your authentic self, let's say, in that way, or you were not living according to the truth of what is in that matter. In that matter, I was ignoring what was. In some capacity, I was thinking things ought to be a different way, because I felt them so different in my own soul, and I could not understand why reality wasn't conforming to how I felt something so deep in my soul that seemed so true and so beautiful and so expansive and loving. And it's like, if I was talking to my brother or my sister, and it's like, why don't you see this vision and get on board with me? It's like, well, they might never see that vision, and that's their life. And so it's like coming to terms with like, oh, but this is someone I care about so much. And it's like, well, you know, if you keep holding on, then you're gonna go drown like an anchor, you know, like that one part of my Greece video where it's just Patmos and Athens. I pan over to this guy that was pulling up the anchor on the boat that we were on. You know, it's like, you can't move the boat. I can't move from this conditioned place, cross this horizon where I die to myself on another level and go into the new horizon. I can't do that if I'm anchored into my conditioned self, because I'm not accepting the conditions that are being presented to me, because other people have free will, and like no one has to share my vision. I get to share my vision. And so this is like the most beautiful thing that's been happening as well. And then I'll wrap this up. Oh, I didn't get to show you. Let me show you where I am. So like, it's so beautiful. Oh, and I'll tell you, in connection with the ocean, the ocean's right over there. Let's see. It's in between the valley out there, and then there's the rest of my trail. And what I'm on right now is, if you saw my video, I don't know, the video, what it's called, but it's one of the last 2 videos or so. I did a couple songs, but my last teaching video, I was on this trail and I ran into my old friend, and I was gonna go up this path. This is the narrow path. I found a new place to talk and to meditate, because my old one, there are animals that were moving in the bushes, and they're still there. Because I went there last night. I brought my friend for her birthday. It was rad. Anyway, it was great, but I don't want to sit there and teach, because that family of animals is still there and they live there. But anyway, so this new place showed up. Okay, but what I was going to say is, if you don't pick up the anchor, then you don't get to move into new horizons. So I picked up the anchor, I left it behind, I dealt with reality, felt with all this pain, like I was in so much writhing pain, because I am an empath, you know, and I feel things. And yes, I'm learning a lot more how to be in presence. And this gives you so much more ground to actually make the free choices, like that one woman I'm talking about was talking in her video about, is when you develop more presence in your own being. I learned this a long time ago in Montreal too. He's like, you're not entrusting, here's my heart, you take good care of that. That's like what we felt in childhood. You're trusting yourself that you are going to respect yourself in this relationship. You're going to notice when people are treating you poorly and be like, walk away from that, or set boundaries, or be like, I'm not into that. Like, I have enough presence and depth within myself. Oh my gosh. Like, I'm learning so much from this one new aspect in my life. I guess I don't know if I want to define what it is, but I'm meeting new people, let's just say. And it's great when I stay in my present self and my expansive self, because I can be like, no way, like I wouldn't make those kind of choices to compromise myself because I'm afraid of losing a new person in my life. Like, it's so cool, because I've developed more presence. I really ought to do some videos just on people learning how to date, because that's what I'm talking about. Is so funny, because I feel so bad for the people. I'm relating as a woman, but I think as a man too, but as a woman, people who go out there and date, it's like, I want to like make videos about raising your standard, because you can have the highest standard for dating, and don't be afraid of that at all. Like, I love it. I don't care. It's one thing to stay away and to say like, I'm not going to date anybody because I'm too scared to do that. It's another thing to like, bring it on. All right, let's go do this. I was saying on Twitter, like, it was like a social experiment, but I'm not doing it as a social experiment. And like, this is just my life right now. But I got on this one dating app, and I have like close to 1,200 likes after 4 days of being on, and I can't even get through the likes. I can't even I don't know how to scroll down past the 200. but then they can message me if they want. But it doesn't mean any of these are a match for me, or that this is where I'm going to find. I like finding people in organic ways. I like running into them. But maybe, again, it felt like my soul, and it sounds really weird because, you know, my soul calls me to like sing songs when I'm not that good at singing yet, or play them on my guitar when I'm not that, or dance, or, oh, what? That's a shadow on the wall. Let's go see what that is, you know? I love being in my wild, authentic self and just like trying things and modeling to you guys that it's important to support yourself and being wild and trying things. Like, of course, like I said, always be respectful, respect your own integrity. Like, I don't want to do anything that compromises myself. Like, I'm wearing a pink shirt today. That's not my normal self, my old normal self, but I'm new in this moment. I don't know if it's going to be my new normal self or it's myself today, but it's like, don't like always stay within your integrity, but gosh, I'm learning so much from interacting with new guys and just being like, nope, yeah, okay, that's it. You know, learning how to reject people in a kind way, or you were gonna call it rejection, but just be like, hey, there's not a connection here that I want to continue. You know, if they say, do you want to? And I say, no, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. And you know, but where was I going with all this is, oh yeah, I want to make videos later on that, because the more you develop your own presence, the more you raise your standard, and you're like, no, like I value my time. I would rather be reading The Lord of the Rings or going on hikes, and I don't want to shut people out completely, but I love being with my friends and being by myself and being with God and being in meditation and being in presence. Like, presence is so yummy and like appealing to me that it's like it's naturally raised my standard for who would I ever consider dating, because I only want to date someone that knows how to be in that presence and wants to share that presence with me. And it really eliminates probably 1,100 out of the 1,185 people, 83 or whatever it was last time I checked. I just narrowed down the scope, so it's like, wait, you know, I figured out how to do some of this stuff, but this is just another way to expand out of my conditioned self. So this is how it's being presented in my life, but it's fun. It's really fun, you know, because I trust myself, and because I have good boundaries, and because I'm not in this conditioned self as much, where I just run after ego highs. I'm not interested in that. And that's what I'm saying. I really feel bad for people who are in the dating world right now. And if you're not, don't worry. All of this stuff that I'm talking about, this other stuff, and this, even what I'm talking about here, apply it to other areas of your life, you know. But the people that are running after ego highs, like, I just see the pain that can come from keep going, oh, this guy said this, or this woman said this, and this means this. And it's like, dude, just step back. These people, you know, they might want you in their life for an ego high. And the more you're in that place, the more you'll attract people who want that. And then, you know, people just use each other in ways, and I'm not into that at all. But I feel like great, because I'm like, I don't have to worry about that, because I have enough presence, you know, God help me, and friends and people I'm connected with that can keep me accountable, you know, in a kind way, not in a pejorative way or whatever you call it, where I'm not worried about that. I trust myself to make wise choices and to be in presence and to be like, nah, I'm not, like, I'm noticing I'm wasting my time. Anchor up, you know, don't like. And so, but, oh, it's so great. This woman named Rebecca, I forgot her last name, but I happened across her, one of her dating things just came up on my Instagram, and she was just like, it was like, why you're attracted to the bad boys or whatever, you know, and it was like 3 minutes long, not like my videos, you know. I appreciate these short videos sometimes, but it was so funny because she was just like, this and this and this and this, and she just pointed it out really quickly, like, you know, like if you're in your conditioned self, and if you're used to your parents not being conscious, then you could be drawn to other people that aren't conscious. And then once you recognize that, she's like, she was talking, she didn't say it in the same words, but like, lift up the anchor, move on, or your life doesn't get to, you don't leave space. And they were talking about this in my holistic business class too. If you keep taking non-ideal clients in, they're taking up space on your bus. If you can only have 6 people in your program, you don't want those people that aren't committed to your program sitting on that bus, because they're taking up the space of people that will be committed. And it's the same with your dating life, is if you keep giving your energy away to someone who's not present for whatever reason, like that's their life. They can do whatever they want. It's torturing you. You are torturing yourself. And I know it's unconscious and you're not meaning to. I know that because I know myself, it's just, but moving away from that opened up all these other doors that people could tell me were going to be open, but I didn't know they were going to be open. And then when they're open, it's really fun and beautiful. And I just like being present in that new capacity. And that's what's going to happen with your spiritual life, or what can happen. And I'm going to say I like saying what's going to happen, but you choose. But as you align more with like, do I want a job that pays me, $200,000, let's say, that gives me full insurance benefits, but I am restricted and I'm not in this expansive part of myself? Or do I want a job and go out there and like be really energized because I get to express like all these different aspects and wake up all these different aspects in each of the people that I meet. I'm waking up 5 different aspects in you, because I'm willing to do these YouTube videos where I'm talking about all of this stuff at once, and so it's like, everyone will say, oh, you need to stay with the $200,000 or whatever by the time you watch this, whatever people make, or 50,000 or 100,000. I don't know, whatever the number is. It's this like, for sure you need to stay in that. They've got benefits, they've got this and this and this. It's like, do you? Or is your soul calling you to somewhere higher and you're just not willing to face the ego death and like have that, these people in this morning we're talking about, oh, okay, I'm going to wrap up, is people, I'll say the grass isn't greener, and that's just their conditioned self going, no, I want to stay in fear and limited thinking, and I want to stay in this old pattern. And it's like, I had an experience that like broke me wide open, a few experiences, and made me reevaluate, what is this I have been compromising in some of my relationships, in some of my past relationships, and doing all the work, or not letting depth and consciousness be there, and not giving this other person opportunity to rise up and be more conscious, because I was overworking for this relationship. And it's like, no, if my client pays me for one session, that they get 50 minutes or whatever. If I'm spending 4 hours and they're paying me for one session, like, that's wrong of me. I'm imbalance. I'm trying to overcompensate in some part of my conditioned self because I'm not going with the agreed upon things. And it's hard to know that, because you can go back to your old familiar childhood. Like, I'm used to my parents just showing up in this capacity, and so I overwork in all these other areas, and you're allowing the other person to underwork. And it's like, if I didn't get out of bed for 15 years and I try to get out of bed, it's because someone's like, well, you have to pay for your rent for this, we're sharing a space here. Like, my legs would be very weak at first, let's say, because I was never held responsible for my part of the rent. It's kind of like that. It's a kind of economy and energy. But I encourage you guys in all this stuff. This is like a collective, teaching on all these different things. But the more you get in present and in the present moment and learn to observe your thoughts, you are not your thoughts. These words might be just words right now, and maybe I'll do a more specific video on what that looks like. But John Butler is so good about getting in stillness. I love him. I wholeheartedly recommend him. He's great. And there are others out there, but I love Eckhart Tolle, but some people might, I don't know, but whatever. Like, let's get more conscious. Let's get more in expanded consciousness and free our lives, free wild horses, it's like, but directing the wild horses, they're not just wild doing whatever they want, Oh, I had a long debate about this with someone for 2 hours yesterday. No wonder I didn't do my meditation. Probably ought to just separated that out. But I learned so much, and I appreciate it. I appreciate this other person's time to teach me this. But it's just like this part of us that can feel like wild, you know, and it doesn't mean don't bring boundaries or knowledge or wisdom or temperance to this part of ourselves, but also don't tame some of this wildness that keeps you passionate about life and engaged. It's just like, you know, if I felt all wild, I'm not gonna like run down this where it's just like a sheer drop off, you know what I mean? But I might like go get skydiving or something like that, and it will be still wild and I'm over the same environment. But I don't know, I don't like talking about limitations. But I will if it comes up next time. This is already long enough. All right, much love. I wish you guys so much love and happiness and joy in your life and peace, and don't worry about ego death. Like, it's okay. All right, much love.